You can read every entry. You'll see none of them have anything to do with him or his activities or anything. I'll just mention in passing as having been completely unconnected events. So there's something.
Well, what about
196,000, 149,000, 135,000, 109,000.
I met Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, I'm about to come to that. So I was pictured with her. Okay, I was pictured with her at a book launch for 5 minutes. I've talked about it. She admitted that under oath. The only time we'd ever met was for 5 minutes. So I have no connection to that scandal at all, other than I once met her for 5 minutes at a book launch. So let me come back to you in the van with the Heartless song playing.
Well, this is like a little bit ridiculous.
Clavicular also went live streaming at the exact moment that the interview started, which took Piers Morgan and his team by surprise, because this would allow for Clippers in real time to post this before Piers Morgan was able to brush any narrative of his own or even upload it to his channels. And Piers Morgan used to be the editor of the Daily Mirror, which was then owned by Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell. He said that he met Ghislaine at a book launch in 2013 and spoke with her for 5 minutes. But this allowed Clavicular to gain control of the conversation. Piers then tried to get Clav to apologize, which he has been trained not to do.
Well, the thing is, Piers, I'm not political and I didn't play the song, so that's kind of all there is to it, right? And I find it quite silly to me that you're with the #1 looks maxer, and instead of asking how you could ascend so that, you know, your wife wouldn't tweet out captions like, when my husband's away, Mr. Sun comes out to play, maybe if you ask me how to ascend, then that would stop happening to you. You know what I mean?
Then Clavicular tried to bring the conversation back to looks maxing, the original community that he's from.
Yeah, I absolutely understand why people are offended by it, but at the end of the day, it's like something that went viral, and you know, like, I'm a content creator, but it was sort of more of a headache than it was a positive. So at the end,
no wonder this fucking kid never gets in trouble, yo.
The day, and I'm not political, and this is kind of like what happened was now people are asking me all these questions about podcasts. So it's just really not something that I want anything to do with in terms of like my content to do political stuff, to do any of these like huge PR stunts. You know what I mean? So like I'm simply here to advocate for you know, men's issues and looks maxing. So that's sort of distracted from that a little bit.
So this debate could have gone either way, but the consensus among his fan base and the internet was that Clavicular had stood his ground. The top comment with 5,000 likes reads, "Came here to watch Piers get mogged." And Eddie Craven and Andrew Santamaria from Kick were incredibly impressed.
Clavicular keeps rocking the mainstream. I think he went on Piers Morgan and rocked his house a little bit, which is awesome to see. It's like this changing of the media guard from the old heads like Piers Morgan to like up and comers like Clavicular. So it's been a good week for live streaming, man. I gotta say, you know.
Man, that was, I must say, big shout out to Clav on what he did there with Piers Morgan. It was very well played. I don't know, I think a lot of people have kind of like, you know, obviously attempted to kind of jump on with that guy and make him look silly, but he really put him into a corner, and the way he went about it was class. It was class. I think it goes to show that I think that analogy you just made of kind of like displaying kind of like, you know, this idea of the old guard, the old media, and this kind of new form media is such a perfect example there. Anyway, it was interesting to see. Big shout out to Clav.
So Clavicular is pretty much on the other side of the Miami nightclub controversy, even meeting with Dave Grutman, who's the head of Miami Nightlife, who unbanned him from everywhere just a couple of days later. And this is in no small part thanks to Mitchell Jackson. However, in the grand scheme of things, this controversy surrounding the HH song is pretty tame compared to what Jackson has been dealing with Candace Owens. In July of 2025, the president of France and the first lady sued Candace for accusing Brigitte Macron of being a man. In response, Jackson told the media, "Candace Owens is not shutting up. This is a foreign government attacking the First Amendment rights of an American independent journalist." And while this lawsuit is still ongoing, Owens has been making some highly inflammatory comments about Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA. So Jackson is more than capable of handling any controversies that come Clavicular's way in the future. But it's important to note that Jackson doesn't have a one-size-fits-all approach to his clients, and what he does for Clavicular could be different to what he does for Candace Owens. One particularly interesting client he worked for was Maya Henry, the ex-fiancée of Liam Payne from One Direction, who tragically died falling off of a balcony in Argentina in 2024. The response to this was to basically allow all of the outrage and drama to eventually die out. Months later, she then gave an exclusive statement to Rolling Stone magazine. And this is an example where Jackson was very much not the villainous character he's often portrayed, and instead helped someone get through a very difficult time. But instead of being a hero or...
What if you could tap into your home's equity with no monthly payments? Unison gives you cash for what matters most: home upgrades, travel, or just...
You want to be remembered. You want your name to mean something. You want people to look back and say that you mattered. But here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. The world doesn't owe you remembrance. The world doesn't care about your potential or your plans or the person you thought you'd become. The world only remembers what you actually did. Look around you right now. How many people do you think are living below what they're capable of? How many people had dreams 5 years ago that they've completely abandoned? How many people tell themselves they'll start to...
You think you're losing because life is unfair. You think it's bad timing, bad luck, bad people. That's the lie you keep alive. The truth is simpler and uglier. You're losing because you don't even know when you started losing. That's why this hurts. You didn't collapse overnight. You didn't wake up weak. You didn't suddenly fall behind. You drifted quietly, comfortably, slowly. And that's what makes you clueless. You still show up. You still talk about goals. You still tell yourself you're working on it. But your edge is gone. Your urgency is gone. Your standards are gone. And you didn't notice when they left. That's the most dangerous part. Weak men know they're weak. Lost men know they're lost. But men like you think you're fine. You mistake motion for progress, noise for effort, thinking for doing. You scroll, you plan, you consume. You stay busy enough to feel productive, and stagnant enough to stay the same. That's not failure, that's decay. And decay doesn't announce itself. It just eats from the inside. Look at your days. You don't lose because you don't try. You lose because you tolerate. You tolerate distractions you used to hate. You tolerate people you've outgrown. You tolerate habits you swore you'd never accept. You lowered the bar so gradually that it feels normal now. That's how men fall behind without realizing it. No rock bottom. No dramatic crash. Just quiet permission given again and again. I'll start tomorrow. It's not that bad. I still have time. That sentence, I still have time, has destroyed more men than failure ever did. Because while you're telling yourself that, other men are building discipline you'll never catch up to. And here's the part you don't want to hear. Nobody did this to you. Not your past. Not your circumstances. Not the world. You looked away when it mattered. You chose comfort when resistance showed up. You let yourself slide and called it balance. That's why this video isn't about motivation. Motivation is for men who already know they're losing. This is for men who are still pretending they aren't. If this makes you defensive, good. If it makes you uncomfortable, even better. Because clarity always hurts before it helps. And if you're honest, truly honest, you already know this isn't about most men. It's about you and the version of yourself you've been quietly allowing to exist. You don't lose loudly. You lose in patterns so small you stop questioning them. You wake up already tired, Not physically, mentally. Because your mind never shuts up, but it never commits either. You check your phone before you check yourself. That's a pattern. You delay hard things until later, then reward yourself anyway. That's a pattern. You tell yourself you're disciplined because you used to be. That's a pattern too. Nothing here is accidental. Your life right now is a perfect reflection of what you repeatedly allow. Not what you want, not what you say, what you tolerate. And the most dangerous patterns are the ones that feel harmless. Scrolling without intention, listening to advice without execution, consuming motivation instead of building discipline. You're not lazy. Lazy men don't feel frustrated. You're overstimulated, unfocused, and mentally undisciplined. And you've learned to live with it. That's worse. Because discipline doesn't disappear suddenly. It erodes. One excuse at a time. One just this once at a time. One night you don't keep your word.
Hi, this is Sona with
Dreamed big, thinking you could achieve greatness. But life has a way of challenging that belief. You hit a wall. People told you weren't good enough. And somewhere along the way, you believed them. Doubt crept in, fear took over, and suddenly, you became someone you never thought you would be. Uncertain, afraid, and stuck. The hardest part of transformation is facing the pain. Change isn't easy. If you want the easy path, you can stay where you are. But if you want to grow, to break through the walls holding you back, you must embrace the pain. The pain of working when you don't feel like it. The pain of confronting your weaknesses, your failures, and your fears head on. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen when everything's perfect. It happens through sweat, effort, and continuous struggle. You show up every day even when it's tough, even when no one's cheering you on. You are building something, even when you can't see the results. And yes, it's painful, but that pain is what strengthens you. It's the fire that forges you. There will be days you want to